Is it? Oh, don't worry, you can work it. It's so funny. He might not remember you. How are you? Good. We're getting fun.
Many pounds ago for me. I've got 4 more weeks to it. It's just slow. Getting old.
Hello? Okay, it is 6:30. My name is Amanda Lewis. I am the current mayor of the city of Forney. This is our first town hall meeting, so I'm opening up our meeting. We hope to have one of these in the fall and in the spring. And so I'm gonna go down and introduce everybody, and then this is gonna be a dialogue, open dialogue, where y'all can come up and ask some questions. Thank you. And I also like to introduce our staff over there for a few minutes, because some of these questions will be staff related directly and they can answer them better. So anyway, my name is Amanda Lewis. I was elected in May and I have a 2-year term. And feel free to speak for a few minutes, but keep it short. We only have an hour and a half. So
Good evening, everyone. I'm Robbie Powers. I sit in place 3.
Good evening, I'm Jason Robertson, and I sit in place 6, and I'm happy to be here. I wanted to get on the council because I love to give back and serve, and I wanted to be a partner in this amazing growth that we have here in Forney. Growing like 6,000 residents a year in Forney and the surrounding communities, which made our school district the 2nd fastest growing in the state. That's impressive. But it's also a little scary if we don't do it the right way. So that's why I wanted to be on the council, and I'm happy to be here.
My name is Darrell Cooper. I'm on place 5, City Council, and I'm in my 3rd year, and I'd like to let everybody know my biggest fan in me and Ms. Powers are here tonight.
Good afternoon. My name is Cecil Chambers. I was appointed by the board, so I thank those. School board. That's not even it. City Council. Thank the City Council for trusting me to do the good deed in our city. I want to let everybody know that without the staff right next to us, we couldn't do our jobs. They don't want to do the job. They take care of us. They take care of the community. So Mr. Charles Daniels, he's our city manager. He has a great staff in front of him. He's the one that makes sure that everything is done around the city. So I give kudos to all the guys and women on that side. I thank you very much for all the hard work y'all do. A lot of people don't give thanks to you guys, but I like to. Thank you.
Good evening, James Traylor, City Council, Place 1. Guys, first off, thanks so much for showing up this evening. I'm going to start off by giving it just a brief stat. So what is our current city population? Anybody tell me? What is it? 23,000. And guys, I just counted, we have 29 heads from Forney that showed up in here. So So of 23,000 people, we have 29 citizens that showed up to this great town hall this evening. Thank you. I appreciate it. Getting involved in your government is something that you all should do. And I appreciate you all being here. Guys, those are some tough questions tonight. That's what we're here for. Let's have some fun, okay? Let's do it.
I'm going to introduce the staff. If you'll hand it back. Ms. Wrigley or Jason or Robbie, you're welcome to introduce the staff if you like.
We have representation from our planning and zoning department. We have Peter, raise your hand. We have our interim chief, Todd Moody, for police-related law enforcement questions. We have Carl Zook, he's our city engineer. We have Kyle at the end, Public Works, questions on roads. Is that Deborah back there? It's our finance woman, our guru over there. Our city attorney, John Thatcher. Kyle Ruvo, who is with Parks. We have Jamie, who's our HR director. Zach, who is our social media director. We have Stephen, our IT, and of course the infamous Charles Daniels, our interim city manager. And Chief Briggs, our fire chief at the end, so they can help answer some of those questions. We really have a very good staff here. I'm really proud of them. We received 5 emails from the public, but I think I might like to wait because some of the same questions may have come from the audience as well. If not, I'd like to reserve a few 5-10 minutes at the end and just go through them to make sure that everything is addressed. And of course, I'll be responding to these as well, since they were not in attendance tonight. So it's an open floor. The mic down here, if you have questions, please come up and state your name and your question, and we'll get the conversation started. Yes, ma'am. Is the mic on over here? Good, thank you.
Hi. My name's Rosella Bartoli. I live across the street in Devonshire, so I'm part of that big growth that's coming to Forney. I'm guessing that most of your growth is coming in unincorporated Forney. I have to say, shame on me. I asked 6 times before I bought across the street, am I in Forney? Do I have Forney Police and Fire? I want to vote in Forney. Oh, yeah. Then after I got there and I found out I was unincorporated. I'm just here to say that I shop in Forney. I work for Forney ISD. I want to be part of this community. So far I'm seeing like you're unincorporated, you're out of the game. We all gotta come together and you have to include us, and I hope that you will consider that.
Yes, you make a very good point. Thank you for speaking. If you look at the city of Forney, we are only 14.83 square miles. But I think our current trade area is 3 times that. And that's we call it the ETJ, extraterritorial jurisdiction. And unfortunately, a lot of people were asking during election time, well, why can't I vote for the mayor or the council? You can vote for the school district, you can vote for county, but there are no city taxes in the extraterritorial jurisdiction. Just for public consumption, Devonshire is not in the city of Forney, Windmill Farms is not in the city of Forney, Travis Ranch isn't in the city of Forney, Clements Ranch is not in the city of Forney, and those are all grown. So yes, you're correct. And a lot of people just aren't aware of that.
Come on, sir.
Good evening. My name is Regent Ron Price. I'm appointed to the Texas University by Governor Abbott and a couple other boards by the governor. I live in Devonshire, been here about a year. I want to be nice and quiet, never on the radar. Many of my neighbors find out I live in the area, been beating me up a little bit lately to be more involved with the community. It's my understanding the EBJ that we're under is the city of Dallas. Is that correct, or is it under yours? So, as I talked to some of my neighbors, I was sharing with them when I found out that technically we have to deal with the city of Dallas about some of our issues, or do we address it with the city of Forney officials? Because there's some confusion in our neighborhood. Should we deal with the city of Dallas, or should we deal with you guys? So you can clear that up, that'll help us a great deal.
So what's the confusion?
Well, the confusion is, we're not technically under the rules of the city of Forney. We are out here on our own. But the number one issue they give up to developers. And I didn't move out here to have houses being built that's going to be leased, not owned. I didn't move out here for some of the stuff I'm witnessing. My former life, I was the president of the Dallas School Board. I was in the Dallas School Board for 12 years. And I've already met with the principal here about some of the things that's going on. My daughter goes to school here, so I'm concerned concerned that I represented South Dallas, Fair Park, Pleasant Grove, downtown Dallas. I had 11 high schools in my area, not one gun incident. And I'm out here not even a year, and there's been 2 gun incidents at this campus, and a person getting shot on this campus late at night. There's something wrong, and I represented the hardest part of Dallas. I didn't have a problem. I moved out here to get away from those problems, and it seemed like the problems followed me. Although I used bleached the whole street on my way out here. So I'm trying to figure out, as I recommended to the principal here, you got to put blood on the kids. The first gun incident, you should move to clear backpacks. If you want to keep an image that this is a safe area, you don't want middle detectors like we had in Dallas, I'm good with that. But you have to do something to set the tone to the people who are migrating out in this area. It's bringing a certain mindset and behavior to this area, that this area will not tolerate that behavior that you're trying to get away from. Don't bring that behavior out here that you're trying to get away from. So what can we do as citizens of Devonshire to work with either the city or the mayor of Dallas is one of my best friends. I haven't jumped on him in a while. I need to jump on. So what do we need to do to make sure that our community is safe and that we don't have people, for God's sake, they're building renting houses and they're for lease, not even for own.
So you just hit something that touches my heart, I'll be honest with you. Then I'm gonna pass this back down. I'm gonna speak very briefly about some of the logistics that we face. Obviously, the city and the ISD are 2 completely separate entities. So the city of Forney City Council has absolutely 0 control over how the ISD polices and what it does, the policies that it sets. However, bullying and the issues that you have faced, every single one of us need to be aware of. Every single one of us. Regardless if you live inside city limits, outside city limits, you can vote for me or vote for any of us, or you can't. I don't care, it doesn't matter. Our kids are what's the most important thing in this world. How do we come together as a community? Guys, we just have to have a voice. We really have to speak up. You being here tonight, being one of the 30 people in 28,000, voicing your opinion is a start, right? And I'll tell you right now, anybody here that needs help and doesn't know what to do, guys, look up my email in the city of Forney. Email me. I'll do my best to help you. I don't know how. But if you want somebody to come stand with you, I'll be there.
The question is, who do we need to address to these developers, most from California, build these new residents out here in our territory that feeds into your city property, that we can address those developers about, hey, you understand this is a capitalist society.
Yep.
But you don't build a whole new area, and the first thing you do is lease the houses out for you to sell. And you know what type of people are moving out in these leases.
So I'm going to tell you a little bit of my background. This may help a little bit on my comment here. So I'm actually a developer, but I develop a very specific subset of multifamily. What I develop caters to the 55 plus client, so our seniors all across the nation that are looking for retirement communities. Having that background, I've done this for 20 years. I can tell you that I know developers' mindsets. I can tell you I know what they look for, and I can tell you I completely understand the entire process probably better than anybody in this room, because I've done it for so long. To answer your question, you can't. It's very unfortunate, but there is absolutely 0 way that you can stop a developer from building a home and putting it up for lease. The city of Forney, inside the city of Forney, does have an inspection program for multifamily and for rental properties, but unfortunately, anybody in this room, if you own a house, you have every right to take your property and put it up for lease. Whether that's done through a property management company or on your own, that is what you're allowed to do, and it's part of your rights as an American with your own property.
Excuse me, that's not the issue.
Sure.
The issue not someone moving out of the rest of the, we all understand that.
Yep.
We're talking about fresh ground homes, right on the side of this campus, are being built, and the sign saying for lease, not for sale, not for ownership, for lease before they even built.
Are you referring to the multifamily homes over here? Mr. Thatcher, can I borrow you for 2 seconds, please? Can you explain the ETJ and kind of the process with the council and approvals and how that goes, just very briefly?
So a lot of the issues that you have here, a lot of overlapping jurisdictions, Devonshire is in Dallas ETJ, Windmill Farms is in some of Forney's ETJ. It's also in parts of Dallas as well. So you have overlapping jurisdictions. So you're talking about development, and as Councilmember Traylor pointed out, you've got property rights, individual property rights, and a property owner, whether they're a developer, whether they're an individual who owns a lot for residential purposes, there are certain rights that they're entitled to. And so if they're looking at zoning classification, you have land use classifications in the city. You do not have land use regulations outside of cities. Out in the county or the ETJ, you don't have land use controls. So outside of some other type of agreement, we call it a development agreement, that sets forth or stipulates what uses will be involved in the development of property outside the city limits. A property owner can develop that property how they choose, as long as they meet certain development standards. In an ETJ, they would follow the county's building standards and have to get inspections through that route. So, in answer to your question, where can you go if you see a leasing product come up and that you're not comfortable with, or it's not something you agree with? The fact of the matter is, whoever is the entity, the agency that reviews the plats, that we call them a plat, subdivision plat, whenever you have you're subdividing property in order to develop it for residential or commercial purposes, whatever the use may be. So in that particular instance, in Windmill Farms, part of those plats will go to the city of Forney for review. In Devonshire, they'll go to the city of Dallas for review. But the fact of the matter is, there are no land use controls. And so there's only certain things that a city can apply to those developments. And one of those is we can't restrict a developer from making a residential product that is for purchase only or for sale by individual lot only. You can't put those kinds of stipulations or conditions on that development because the city just doesn't have those controls. We really don't even have those types of controls to that extent in the city, in the corporate limits of the city as well. But so it all depends. To answer your question, it all depends because there are a lot of different controlling or managing agencies over the individual lots, like we talked about. The city of Forney is a small piece, and as some of you have pointed out, you didn't realize necessarily that you didn't live in the city. And in Devonshire's case, at this point in time, you will never ever be in the city of Forney. If you're ever going to be incorporated, you would be in the city of Dallas. Now, whether Dallas ever comes out that far, probably not in my lifetime. That's just my guess, my speculation. But that's just kind of the reality of it. I think, hopefully I did great.
Mr. Price, when you talking about things that happen in your community, and you as a homeowner, you're talking about quality of life. You're talking about you and your family, want to come home and be peaceful. Just driving up here tonight, and you look at the roadway, it's kind of dark out there, right? So there's not enough lighting on the roads. That's probably one of the reasons why a body was dumped out there on the road, because there's no one out there to see that. Me being an officer for 20 years, almost with Dallas Police Department, I've worked with some of these things and seen some of the things that goes on when you're talking about quality of life. So that we have families with kids, you have a city like Forney that don't really have anything for our kids to do. And the only thing they can do is, they get on their social media, they start to bullying, they start to, be against them. It's like, war on social media. So I recently met with the Sheriff Beavers last week, and we had some discussion. And Sheriff Beavers has a bond package that was passed. And what he's doing is he's going to put a 9,000 square foot substation out here. So, with y'all being in the county, and Kaufman is so far away from here, all y'all, your county officials are, he's trying to bring it here, so you have a place where you can come and you can talk, or you can sit down, you can have community meetings, we do some things for the kids. There's one thing that, I wanna do with the city of Forney is bring in PALs. I know you heard of PALs before. PALs is a great, tool that we can use to grab some of these kids at a young age, mentor them up, love on them. And if we can, we play activities, it's a community effort. So some of those things there, we have not completely implemented yet, but we're still waiting on certain things that happen in the city. We don't have anything here yet that we're working on. Trust me, the council is working, trying to get some things in here. We have a bond package that we're putting out. We try to get a rec center here, so the kids can have something to do. So there's something that parks on this side, on the north side. So all these things, some of those things are coming here. We're looking for, we're about to hire one day a police chief that's gonna come here and be a part of the community that we live in. So there's a lot of things that all the council members we're working on. You gotta be, give us an opportunity to do that. So I understand your pain. So if you can give us some time within the city limits of Forney, not outside of the city limits, it's kind of hard for us to do much of anything. But you can always go to your county official. I know Commissioner Skeet, he's over this precinct 2, and you can talk a lot about the lighting issue that needs to be put out here and light this place up. That's part of quality of life here. So that's some of the stuff that you can do as a citizen. Thank you.
I have one more thing to add. One entity
That is powerful is, do you have an HOA in your community? There's a lot of power in the HOA. We've had conversations with the county. Travis Ranch was having some issues, Clemens Ranch was having some issues with rentals and whatnot. And I would get heavily involved with the HOA, and I would actually go and talk with those HOAs and the other communities and see how they've handled the similar problems, because I think you're gonna be facing the same things they did, but there is power in those HOAs, so. Does that help?
Yes, but actually what would be really helpful, if we can work with the community, let us know the boundaries of the developers of the building, so that we can address the city of Dallas, if we have to, if we have to address the city of Carrollton, if they got pieces out there, or whatever state senator, whatever congressperson. We're not blaming you again, well, at least I'm not. I'm worried about what's growing around us. We're pretty good in Devonshire, but what's growing around us concerns me. And I'm trying to figure out how I'm living out here. If this, say something about it, but I can't blame someone else if I was saying something about it. So I live here, and I don't want folks who are paying $400,000, $700,000 for a home in my neighborhood. All of a sudden, bills like cost people $100,000 a month. I mean, the value of our area, and so we want to address this before they even start moving dirt. So that's why I came, and we have a lot of people in my little section of Devonshire who asked me to come tonight to address the issue. Just tell us who we need to talk to, and we'll go do the talking on our own. There's nothing to support, but we'll do the talking.
All right, next question.
Well, this is multifaceted. First thing, I want to say thank you, you guys, because seriously, I know what it's like for you guys to actually get to where you are. I haven't done it, but I know it's been a challenge, and I appreciate you guys sticking with it and dealing with all of everything. I want to say thank you to, the city staff. You guys put up with a lot of bad mouthing, and you guys handle it with mercy and grace, and I like the way everybody has been changing our attitudes, getting ourselves into check a little bit. So, speaking to over 55, I have a place in my heart for that. Curiosity around whether or not we can actually make the multifamily around the lagoon over 55, just a yes, no, please. The rec center, discussion on why it's going on the south side versus north side in comparison to the library, and if that's still a go. And then status please on the tornado sirens.
City manager. The city manager.
Right? That makes me somebody. And I've been inside and outside city Yeah, and whether or not it's a go, and it could potentially be over 55. Peter, do you mind addressing how far we are in the development of the Bellagio property and the timeframes kind of there? Not the residential, the multifamily.
Yeah, just the multifamily around the lagoon. So the Bellagio project already has the zoning approval. With that zoning approval, there are no age restrictions, and so that multifamily is open to all ages.
So it's a go?
It is, yes.
And it's not age restricted?
It is not age restricted, no. Yeah, once these projects have their zoning approval, then they have the right to move forward with their plans, with their site plans. And without them coming back for rezoning, it's not possible to change that.
Okay.
And then what was the next one?
Library and the rec center.
The location of
Okay.
those.
Any?
I don't know how much I can add on the library. I've had a discussion with that, but I can't. The rec center is a potential for a bond, like one of the council members said. But the reason that it was chosen to potentially be on the south side at the community park is because we already own the land. And that's something that we don't have to spend money on to acquire land.
Kyle?
Yep.
Thanks, sir.
Hey, good evening, Carl Zuck, city engineer. That was taken to council I think, early September. Since we've had time to dive in and work with the company that was taken to council, we're reassessing if that's going to work for the city. We may be moving in another direction. We're just not able to give the details on that right now, but it is hoping to make it by the storm season to have it up and running is our goal.
Wait, what?
The tornado, is that the advanced warning system for the storm siren system? Yes, we are. I mean, it's delicate right now because we're trying to transition out of the first company that went to council for approval to go to possibly another one. So we just want to be careful with what we say so we don't put the city in a tough spot right now. But our goal is to have a system up and running by the spring before we get into late winter, early spring before we get into the tornado season.
Is this actual tornado sirens or something goes to your phone?
The system we're looking at is an actual siren system, approximately 10 or so around the city that would be the most current technology to make sure that we're getting the best coverage we can. And Stephen Williamson, our IT representative, might be able to talk more about what would integrate with like a phone alert system. But the siren warning system would be the traditional, might check it monthly, you'd hear it maybe the first Wednesday at noon where you hear the siren ramp up. But it's, the ones we're looking at are very similar to the ones in some of the surrounding areas like Terrell and Ski that are operating right now is our goal, to get that traditional siren at least up and running. Looking at a solar product with a radio transmission that can get up pretty quick. We wouldn't have to get hard power to it, wouldn't have to worry about like a fiber connection for communication. That was talked about at council. We want to put this in as fast as possible and get it up and running as fast as possible.
So let me ask, I hate to harp on this, I'm in Devonshire. Yes. So would that affect our area, or would we have to go to Kaufman County, or would we have to go to the city of Dallas? I mean, if you're talking about the phone system, if you're talking about placement and sending different areas, well, we're on this side around Forney. I may not be getting Forney for my address section.
The model that they ran for our proposal, it does spill into the ETJ areas. We're primarily focused on the city limit envelope, but the city is not, the concentric circles that are using in the model that create an overall encompassing area isn't bottling the city limits exactly. So there's going to be some spillover. I haven't looked at to see if it gets within the Devonshire area. You could possibly hear it at times depending on weather conditions, but I can't guarantee that.
Good evening. My name is Linda Sanders, and I'm here with my husband, James Sanders. To the mayor, council members, and staff, my husband and I have resided in Forney for about 15 years. We left Dallas to come here. We retired to come here. And since we've been here for the 15 years, I want to say that we moved in Windmill Farms, and when there were just a lot of cows on one side, and then they really built up Forney. Since Forney has grown, because I'm a retired sergeant, detention sergeant with the Dallas County Sheriff's Department for 30 years, I want to commend the officers, the Cochran County, Forney officers, for a great job that you all are doing. And I say that because there were a lot of issues, and I can relate to you, Ron. I can relate to Ron because when we first moved here, the crime rate was low. There was not a lot of development going on around here. We hear more gunshots every now and then. But the people have to come together and work together, have eyes to see, ears to hear. And we do have a homeowners association. They just put up cameras in our neighborhood. And it's helped a lot. The problem that I have, my husband and I don't have children. We have a dog. That's our baby. But I like to address this to, are you a sergeant, deputy? What is your position? Acting chief, what is your last name? Nudie? Ludy.
Udi, E-U-D-Y.
Ludy.
Udi.
Yes, Ludy. Udi, okay, I'm sorry. Let me clean my ears out. Udi. Chief. Udi. I would like to see, and this is my last statement, I would like to see changes made on Windmill Farms Boulevard, where all of these people treated like, if you all remember the Yellow Belly drag strip, you would think you were driving down a Yellow Belly drag strip. They need speed bumps or something, because you have the elementary schools, the high schools, and that's a problem for me because I don't want any child or anyone to get hurt. But it is a lot of noise at nighttime. It's too much activity going on Windmill Farms Boulevard with the cars dragging up and down all times of the night, even in the daytime. So can you tell me if there's any future plans to try to help, minimize the flow of traffic that we're getting?
Yes, ma'am, thank you for your concern. The speed inside and outside of our city limits is always a concern for us, for the safety of the children. The location that you're talking about is going to be outside of the city limits. However, we will work with the county and the Precinct 2 Constable's Office on trying to mitigate that and try to do some more enforcement at that location. Speed bumps are always brought up when it comes to speed. People request speed bumps. Speed bumps are not typically in city maintained streets. Those are going to be found inside parking lots. They're going to be found on private property, such as a trailer park or a mobile home park or something like that, but they're typically not on city maintained streets. That would not be an option. I've discussed this with city staff previously. It causes major damage to fire trucks and things of that nature when they're trying to get to locations to offer assistance. But we will work with the Precinct 2 Constable's Office and the Sheriff's Department in trying to step up enforcement out in that area.
Chief Udi, can you explain the different law enforcement jurisdictions in and around Forney?
Sure.
Who covers what? I think that would help.
Sure, so the Devonshire, Travis Ranch, the municipal utility districts that are outside of our city limits, they are in the jurisdictional boundaries of Kaufman County Sheriff's Office. The Precinct 2 Constable's Office, they handle contracts with those subdivisions and those HOAs to provide additional security in those areas. So the Kaufman County Sheriff's Office has jurisdiction, so does the Precinct 2 Constable's Office. But all three of our agencies together, we do work together to try to make this whole community as safe as possible.
And not to exclude the Forney ISD police
Sure.
department as well.
I apologize, as well as the ISD Police Department.
I have a question. We live in Fox Hollow, and right on the boulevard, actually, Fox Hollow Boulevard. And there's a stop sign that's right in front of ours, and I was wanting to inquire about speed humps. Our car's already been hit once, it was a hit and run. Somebody slammed into the back of ours at really high speed. And people use that a lot to cut off the intersection because the traffic is so horrible here. And they use our street to cut through to get by all of that traffic that's been caused by everything needing to be on one road over by the police station. And, you know, they'll go 45 miles an hour. We requested officers to be posted up there. Newsflash, people see y'all. I was a cop for 10 years. I know how it is, and you get the nose dive every time you see a cop car, you know, or something that looks like it. So, we were really hopeful that there could be something that could be done about that because the traffic is horrible here.
It's just a matter of time before a kid gets hit out there.
Yeah, and I mean, we have a camera that faces the street. We heightened the sensitivity after our car got basically, you know, violated that day. But, that we had to pay for it, you know, and that's nobody's fault, but, you know, somebody else. But, anyway, the stop signs ran all the time.
Sure, we get traffic complaints in the city weekly, if not daily, in regards to the traffic congestion, the running of stop signs and things like that. We pass those complaints out to our patrol department, and when they're not in between, when they're not on a call, when they're in between calls, we give out specifically a hotspot email saying these are our traffic problems, and please divide your time equally amongst these locations to try to get some compliance out of the drivers.
Well, I don't expect an officer to babysit. That's a big waste of resources. Whenever there's other parts of the city that's a whole lot more, that needs a whole lot more than we do. But it's just, you know, it's whenever you've got people blowing through at 40, 45 miles an hour on a residential street so they can save 3 minutes of traffic. You know, I know that they're very important, and I know that their time is worth a whole lot more than mine, or even a child's life, but, you know, that 3 minutes. But, it happens all the time, and it's very, very irritating.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for bringing that location to our.
Quite honestly, I've heard this complaint several times about putting speed bumps in there, about the fire trucks. If you have a fire truck going down that road fast enough, and probably standing on a speed bump or a speed hump, you need to slow down anyway. I don't care how bad the fire is.
Yes, sir. Thank you for your input.
Good evening. My name is, we're talking about highways and traffic and all. I live on Heritage Hill, and they're gonna build a neighborhood behind my street, which is wonderful, you know, we all love each other and all, kumbaya, you know? My problem is not the fact that they're building a neighborhood. My problem is the fact that they're not connecting Brazos Street to the new neighborhood. They're actually building, they opened up Heritage Hill Drive, and that whole neighborhood is gonna go through Heritage Drive. And we're already getting traffic from the estate. I don't know if you guys want to look at this.
I live right there, so I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I live in Lower, yeah, so.
Oh, yeah, we're already getting, And it looks, I circled number 1, that's where they've opened up and connected the street to that neighborhood. And I circled number 2, and then like, it looks like they missed the mark, you know? It looks like they wanted, maybe that was the intention, I don't know. Maybe move over a house and they would connect. But it's all gonna go through Bowie. That neighborhood and the estate neighborhood as well is all gonna go through Bowie if they want to get to the closest shopping center, which would be Brookshire's. So I don't wanna have to have more, my kids play outside and there's kids in the neighborhood, and I know it would be inconvenient for Brazos Street to open up for them, but it would help us. You know, I don't want to get through, there was a fatality or my street became a main street. So,
We have 2 experts over here that are chomping at the bit.
Just understand that you're talking about, there's a connection to Heritage-Hill. Why is it there under Brazos? Is that
Yeah.
what you're asking? I know Peter was here where I was when the actual Brazos connection didn't happen. It was a council decision.
Correct.
That did not want that, so it was not allowed for that development. And I think, I don't know how the Heritage development happened. It may have just been that they had to connect some of these roads to keep the continuity going between neighborhoods.
Yeah, specifically with the connection over on Brazos Street, that was actually a request by council at the time when they were speaking with this.
yeah, because she lives on the corner.
Yeah, it was a council decision, you know, that wasn't a staff decision, so I can't talk to why or.
Well, can we overrule it?
It's already been approved, that's why they're already building the lots right now, the plat's already been recorded, and so they have every right to build it as they are. Well, it's a little tricky because it wasn't a zoning case. They already had the zoning approval to develop the property. And so there were no required documents that said Brazos had to make that connection. And so.
I'm not trying to write it.
Sure.
But for zoning, the zoning purposes have to at least make that public for zoning approved, correct?
This property had been zoned for years and years prior to the last one. They actually made a request to come in with smaller lots, and council denied that request at the time. And so they came back and said, we'll build according to the 15,000 square foot minimum that's required, and that's how they're developing it today. But that connection with Brazos, that's something that I know was discussed because we identified it when we were doing the plan review, but it was a council decision at the time that they would not require.
So the mayor was not okay for this traffic to go through her street? The old mayor?
It was voted on by council and the plat was approved as it is.
Oh, okay. That was convenient for her.
Good evening, everyone. I too want to thank all of our city officials and city employees for a great job that you have done. I've been here since 2003. Unfortunately for me, I live in the Bronx. However, I remember the slogan, a city with no limits. And so that's one of the things that I would like to address, is that although we have different communities that are not a part of the city of Forney, we feel that we are. And so there are some plans that we would like to see considered when you're making plans. The number one thing is the recreation center for children. Everybody knows, we know that I'm an advocate for that. That's something that we've been needing for a very, very long time. So I congratulate you on coming together to make that decision. However, I do believe that we should have recreation on the north side of town. There are kids on the north side that do not have transportation, that are not able to get to the south side to be able to enjoy some of the recreational opportunities that are coming. So in the future, we would like to be considered on the north side of bringing in recreational things for the youth that cannot get over to the south side. So is there any, number one, when will the recreation come on the south side? And number two, will there be other considerations? Because there are parks on the north side. They're small, but there's parks. You know, and so should there be consideration for the north side? I know Mr. Carroll mentioned that there is no land that is available or for purchase. I think that's
I will say that what you're talking about is being addressed in the upcoming bond package. And you will have an opportunity to please use your passion and be an ambassador for the items that are going to be in there. We did address parks on the north side, library, rec center. It's in the bond package. That still has to be approved by council. But I believe the committee is going to make a recommendation to the council, I think in the early part of December.
That's good to hear. And again, I do want to thank our wonderful city employees. They're doing a great job. But I do really want to hear that we're going to do more things on the north side for our children. So thank you.
So those of us who live in the ETJ areas, should we address some of these issues about a recreation center to our county commissioner? Because we're all paying taxes. We're not paying taxes to the city of Forney. I can respect that. $2 million bond program in Dallas, people understand. Spend money in your own home. I get that. So for those of us who are paying taxes only to the county, should we address our county commission about a recreation center in this on the north side in regards to our EJ? Because we're not, it's unfair to our, we got the county on outside the city limits. So we need some direction on what we need to do to get a rec center, especially all the development being done over here. We need to figure out who we need to talk to get that done in planning stage.
Like they mentioned, part of the bond, the potential to go out in May is we do own parkland on the north side of the city that would serve as basically a second community park. A lot of the same recreation style things, whether it be a trail, workout equipment on the trail, basketball courts, volleyball courts. There's a potential allowance for a skate park. All that will be on the north side of the city on land that the city already owns and is dedicated as parkland. But like you said, a lot of that is based on a bond package that is passed by voters and approved by council.
And just throw one other thing there. I'm an attorney, and I know there's a lot of good opinions about their attorneys, so I appreciate those. So, to your question, can you go to the county for some of these recreational opportunities? But just to point out that the county is a political subdivision of the state, and so they only have the authority that is granted to them by the state. So there must be legislation in place. So if the state says they can go and issue debt to build a rec center out in the county, then they can do that. The city's a little bit different. We can do just about anything that we are not preempted by the state to do. So it's kind of the converse between the county and the city. And so a lot of your recreational activities, you're going to see the cities perform those rather than your other political subdivisions like a county. Specifically, if you're outside the city limits, because the bond package that's been talked about is in order to initiate that, there's been a committee that's been put together that was referenced, and the council will decide what is then proposed to the voters. But the voters are those in the city limits, and so you have to actually live in the city, be a registered voter to help decide, because it'll be tax dollars that help fund that. So a lot of what you'll see in the developments outside the city limits are going to be private amenities. And that's where it goes back to the HOAs or the developments. They may have their own internal private parks or trail systems or some of those other amenities that you'll see. So generally, you won't see a governmental function for like a rec center outside of the city limit.
Mr. Price and anybody else that lives within our community, if this bond is passed, and feel free to come out to the park. You know, you're welcome to use our amenities. They do it on the south side. It's gonna be welcome on the north side. So bring your family out, have fun, you know, with your kids, grandkids. You're all welcome.
Will we be able to use the library?
Yes. All right, guys, who's next? What I'm gonna do, we do have 4 people here in line that have come up, so I wanna make sure we respect the people that are sitting up in the front that are ready to ask questions, and I'll be happy to answer any questions after that.
Actually, my question goes back to the chief. I've been out here almost 16 years, and so a couple quick questions. Do we have enough law enforcement that we have a traffic enforcement within our department? AKA, do you have officers that are strictly assigned to traffic? When I first moved out here, we had motor jocks out on the street. I haven't seen a motor jock in a long time. And traditionally, motor jocks, all they do is they're out there to write tickets. So I'm just curious if we need to figure out a way as a council, as a city, to get more money to get more officers out on the street. Because I think regardless of where you are in the city, whether you're right on the outskirts or the inside it, that's one of the biggest issues that a lot of people are talking to me about.
Yes, ma'am. At this time, we do not have a traffic unit. However, that is something that is in our plan. When we get our staffing to where we need it to be, we do plan on allocating an officer to be available to work specifically just traffic enforcement to free him up or her up to do that while the other officers are maintaining the call line.
And I'll follow up on that, like the lady said earlier, it's real easy to see a squad car. Do you have unmarked squads, or do we still have the motorcycles, or have those all been?
We don't have motorcycles. We don't have unmarked squads, but we do have what we call ghost decal squads. So they are, there's what we call a slick car, so you will have police on the side of them, however, it's not as bold and bright as a black and white.
As black and white. And then, also, I wanted to tie up both the council and you. I noticed that what was said was that the city has no jurisdiction over the school district, but I want to tie back to what Mr. Price said. That, what is the council, what is Forney PD, how are y'all working in conjunction with the school district, with Forney Independent Police Department? Because bottom line, we got Forney in our city, we have North Forney not in our city. Bottom line is all these kids are coming together. I went to school where we had rival high schools. They're going to come into the city limits, they're going to go outside the city limits. Is the departments, is the council, is everybody communicating with one another to target? We've got issues, you know, this is about to happen. What's being done to be proactive instead of reactive?
Good question. You absolutely are. Right now, we're working with developing a partnership with them to handle all of their dispatch needs. Currently, we are handling all of their dispatch needs. So any radio traffic that goes over, they let us know what officer is at what school at what time. If an emergency occurs at a school, that is communicated through our dispatch by the ISD patrol officers who let us know, let our dispatch know, and everyone else who's monitoring radio know that they have an issue at this school at this time, so we can allocate resources to handle that situation.
So to the council, how is this council reaching out to the school district as we experience this tremendous growth that you were talking about? Because it is coming, and what are we doing about it?
I think you had a good subject, but I'm gonna pass it down to this end and we'll come my way.
I'm very happy to say that we have started our bi-weekly meetings with the elected officials, and that includes the Chief Sanders, Chief Udi, different constables, and we're meeting on a regular basis. The dispatch is a brand new product, a partnership that we're doing with them that they never had before. So they're still learning as they're growing, but they're doing the Forney ISD is doing a fantastic job as well. They also have quarterly meetings, countywide meetings, all that communication is ongoing behind the scenes. And so I think the relationships are stronger now than they were even 12 months ago. But as much as our police can help and be the support for them, as well as the constables, I think that all that is happening in the crime in itself is being a little bit more minimized now on social media because of those partnerships.
What is the relationship with the school district?
I'm sorry?
What, is the council seeing a strong relationship with the school district? Because there seems to have always been a little bit of a divide.
I think it has. I think there has been a divide in the past. I mean, that's just me being a resident of the city of Forney, for years. But just the way we're communicating now on a regular basis and meeting, and we're doing joint announcements together and stuff like that. So I think we've got a long way to go. But I do think that they are helping partner, especially when the new schools are coming in. How can our traffic help? How can we do our roads to help them get ahead of the curveball when it comes to new, because there's going to be even more schools coming. So I think having those discussions and even having text on the room with the superintendent and me and Carl and all these other guys, those conversations have been happening, which haven't happened in the past.
I think one big thing is missing is parents' involvement. That's just been mentioned first, I believe, because those kids that we have today, a lot of them are home alone by themselves, that I've seen sometimes. That's why it's very important for parents to get out in front. We need to work with the parents as best as we can. I know that's a hard task to pick up. But they do play the most important role in our community. We have a lot of kids that is out, and about, and don't have no directions of what they're doing, then that's an issue for all of us. So until we can, when we working with the school district, working with other, the county, the constables, the sheriff department, the district attorney, all these people factor in to our community as a whole. So having more community policing, I call it, where we actually get to talk to some of the parents, talk to some of the, walk into the neighborhoods, that's something that I think is important. I think that's something that we could bring here. We could fill the gaps that's missing. And we're not going to capture every family in this community, but we can capture a whole lot of families in this community. And all it needs is communication and conversation that we need to have within our community.
So has council initiated programs along those lines?
At this point, that has been brought up to initiate a whole lot of stuff. So talking with the city manager on some of these things that I've seen in my career that works, and some of the things that we see here in our community is not as bad as what I see in Dallas.
Sure.
But they've got programs that we use and utilize to help the neighborhoods. So the issues that we have, it's not bad issues, and hopefully it won't get out of control here. But if we can get in front of that and be more a partnership, then I think it'll go a long way in our community.
Well, I want to add.
I just want to say that, and we also just approved the new center, the Keith Bell, what's the name? Yeah, the Keith Bell Opportunity Center, and I don't know if you've seen the plans for it, but it is amazing. The way that we're bringing in community businesses to teach kids, not just how to do hair, but how to own your own shop.
Sure.
Not how to change oil, but what does it mean to be able to have your own shop and be able to do the business behind it? And we're going to be a supporter in that. We approved it, and we plan to have an integral part in making sure it's a success.
So on those lines, with Dr. Terry and the school district having brought that in, I agree with you completely. Is there the open communication with Dr. Terry? Because the nurse is our city manager, but
Yes.
Dr. Terry's the one directly with his finger on the pulse of what's going on with the school district. So when it comes to initiating
those things are critical to get the kids involved. And the school district helps us find where those kids in need are as well. But Boys and Girls Club, other types of nonprofit organizations are vital for any growing community. And we can't do it all, that's why we need the help of everybody else. And that's why it's so important for this Northside Park to get through, push through as well, because we will have a place at home to address those kids on the north side of 80. Thank you.
I think summer programs are also crucial. You know, during the school year, you know, we know where our kids are, what we hope, you know, that they're in school, but I know where mine is. But we, you know, majority of our kids are in school every day during the school year. I think it's critical during the summertime when their school is closed, buildings are locked. What are we doing now? Where they're at? What are they doing? Or do they have a job? You know, are they on the social media net causing problems? So the biggest avenue that we can get is working with partnership with the school district in the summertime. I think summertime is the biggest issue that we'll have as far as law enforcement or, you know, whatever. And Mr. Price, you know, as a school board trustee, you know how vital it is to have these kids doing something during the summer. Because the school doors are closed and that's where they spend most of their time in during the, you know, during the school year.
I'm sorry, guys, one more comment here. Joanne, on premise, I'll turn it over. Guys, I don't know what's being done right now, but it's not enough. That's bottom line. When I first was appointed council 2 years ago, appointed, not elected, on my video, I always say that I'm not a politician. I'm going to give my not a politician speech right now. I have 4 kids at Forney ISD, and just hearing that we've had 2 guns in schools already, and up north, we had some children murdered and shot with guns in schools. I don't know what the answer is, but we gotta find it. I'm scared to death. I have 4 young children going to school in this area. We've already got 2 guns in our schools. I don't know what the solution is. I don't know how to fix it. But I tell you this, something needs to be done. Because bottom line, one child's life is too much. No politics, no city council, no ISD. All that needs to be removed and the only focus needs to be is our children. That is it. And when somebody finds a solution, tell me. If you want to stand side by side, I know I will, Mr. Chambers, anybody from this council stand with you. But bottom line, after-school programs are great. Rec centers are wonderful. It's going to take mentors changing these young children's lives. Somebody investing in our children. It's going to take all of us. Every one of us in here, investing in children's lives, turning their lives around, giving them something to do. And let them know there is a future outside of what they're doing now. It's saddening to me to see this happening. And I really want to see a change for our community.
Jody, I mean, we have 2 things. Roadways and traffic movement obviously is a concern. And it takes a lot. Most of the traffic flows through county roads and TxDOT. You know, maybe take just a quick overview of what it takes to get a road improvement done through TxDOT versus the county so people can understand. It's not a quick process. Then the second part is with the strategic comp plan, everyone needs to be aware that and provide input. Kind of just what is the strategic comp plan, the timing of it, what information do you hope to gain from it, and how to use it going forward.
Yeah, Joanne, thanks for the question. I'll address the first one. You asked the difference between what TxDOT takes to get a road done versus the county. The county is going to be limited to what their budgets allow them to do, what their planning is doing on, like I work with Skeet on some of his district or his precincts area, like Ranch Road, other areas that are county that tie in with our city roads to try and see how can we get something moving, because there's something we can help with their crews that they do for street projects with ours to try and maximize our resources. The TxDOT process is the one I'm most familiar with, where the county is really kind of presentation that was recently done at council that tried to break it down in about a 15-minute presentation on what the 2013 and 2019 bond is trying to accomplish. And it's using TxDOT funding to try and accelerate it, the construction funding to accelerate it to some roads in our area. And so what the bond does is try and capture the 20% of the project costs, and it's the front end of the project. Again, it's the design, the right-of-way acquisitions, the utility relocations, and the environmental clearance of the roadway that's getting improved. Once that gets done, first of all, it shows TxDOT that the local jurisdiction is investing in that project. It helps move up the funding. It's like you're pitching in 20 cents on the dollar. They look at that as an incentive. They accelerate the funding. So that's what's helped like 548 get close to being constructed. It's fully funded in certain sections between 80 and Windmill Farms. That is fully funded. The section north of there up to the northern limit, I think, is mostly funded. But I would encourage you to watch the presentation. It can help you see roads that are in the Forney area that are part of the bond that are underway in certain aspects. Some are close to being constructed, like the Highway 80 section between FM 460 and Lawson Road. The FM 1641 piece has a lot of the design done. Some of the pieces that you'll see that lead into that complete that 20%, where those phases are, FM 740, FM 741, the major FM roads in our area. Just to help you see the difference between what a TxDOT project takes and how the county can help. It's a partnership that you watch. We recently went to the county seat to listen to a North Central Texas COG presentation on how they are helping those funds get accelerated. So it's the city is working with the county and TxDOT, but the county has their own funding for their projects. The precincts have their own local roads, but the county bond is the one that really is the mechanism to get a lot of these roads fixed, and that helps us understand how the funding is obtained and how it is. I hope that.
Yeah.
Any questions?
I'd like to expand on it just a little bit more, if you don't mind. That presentation was on October 19th, that Carl did, and it was based on a series of transportation meetings that several city council members had with city staff. And we had TxDOT in the room. We've had conversations with the North Central Texas Council of Governments, and we're very involved with our Kaufman County transportation consultant, which actually is the guy that can help get those funds move forward faster. But to allude to or to finish up what Carl was saying, the most exciting part that's happening is between Lawson and Clements Road on Highway 80. I was told with TxDOT yesterday it'll probably be a little less than a 4-year project. They'll start on the westbound lanes first, and service roads will be punched all the way through. FM 548, everybody knows, go to Walmart all the way up past Windmill Farms. That's going to be again done in 2 phases, and the earliest that can go out for bid for construction will be 2024. Also 1641 is going to be widened 4 lanes, and that's going to be in 2024 as well. There is a process that we have to adhere to. Of course, we can't put funds that will help on the county projects, but just to let you know that, you have the schematic, you have the design, you have the environmental clearances, you got right-of-ways, you got, I'm telling you, the first phase alone is 18 to 24 months. So we just gotta have some patience with that. To give it the residents another update, when you go over Clements Bridge, and you're gonna hit a 460, and then you're gonna hit 740, and this is one of the emails that we received. That T intersection is a nightmare, and I understand that now. We got the 7-Eleven. We just hired the consultant to do this schematic and design phase for that road. That's going to go actually all the way up to Heath. But as soon as we get those designs in place, we're going to push forward to getting that 460 and 740 section over to Pinson Road done first. So we're going to they know that's a priority for us. We also have Commissioner Phillips has helped
redo the intersection at 460 and 740, which is over by that Lake Ray Hubbard turn. A lot of traffic is backing up because people are turning into that new neighborhood. That permit has been issued by TxDOT, the design is done, and so they're just negotiating with that neighborhood to get it built. So they're gonna do a turn lane there, and that's gonna help alleviate the backup that's going down to 80. So we know transportation's a huge issue, but depending on what kind of road you're dealing with, you know, you're gonna have to go through the different steps, so different processes. Also to know, when we did our bond survey, number one was roads and traffic. So when the bond committee does come to council with their recommendation for the bond, you will see some city roads on that as well.
We have one more person. Same topic, that's what happened at the time. In the city, are we getting any money from the infrastructure bill passed by Congress?
The $6.7 million, the city's already received half of it, and we can use it on certain parts of it. We can't build new roads with the infrastructure, but we can do some things with that on infrastructure, yes.
Should be a short answer. First thing, I didn't get a chance to thank my community. If you're not in a voting district, you can reach out to those who are and get us voting, right? Because we're not doing our good job at voting. So if you're like in Devonshire and you're like, I don't have a voice, you have friends, you have neighbors. So campaign yourselves for who you want up there and come reach out to us who can vote, because a lot of us are just tired of it, right? So that being said, if you were here before Walmart, thank you for your patience, and if you're new here, welcome, we love you, but please be patient as well. My questions. For one, I've been here since '03, I'm Suzanne Duval. I've been inside, outside, and have businesses that are affiliated. My question is just a yes, no. The student who was caught on, and I'm asking the quiet council members, please. The student who was caught with a gun in North Forney, was he or she just allowed to transfer to Forney? If you don't know, you don't know. Okay.
I don't know the answer to that.
All right. And then how powerful is the EDC? I've seen some scary things coming out of there where they're trying to redevelop downtown Forney. So how does that communication and power work between EDC and then actual action?
Well, we have the director here, but what scares you?
Well, they can speak for themselves, I guess, but ultimately, like, they're not just taking action without some form of, oversight, right? I mean, it's one thing to have EDC, it's another thing to have the community be able to hold them accountable for the growth that they might pull in.
I don't think I introduced Lynn, I'm sorry. We were one
I saw you yesterday, and you
Right.
know my stickler.
Yes, I know
You
what
know
you're talking
exactly
about.
what I didn't like.
She doesn't like the mixed-use development in downtown.
I didn't say I didn't like it, I'm just nervous.
You're nervous, no, I understand. So, if you look at, good to see you too. So, we recently did a presentation, some people have seen it, and one of the things that we talk about is the redevelopment of downtown, revitalization is, I guess, a better word. So, when you looked at the census, there was all this growth in Forney, but the one place there wasn't growth was in downtown. And what's concerning about that is when you don't have growth in an area, it can cause vacant buildings, it can cause crime, it can do these things. So how do we re-energize downtown? So one of the things we're looking at and have been approached by are a couple people that want to do mixed use. So while the city council is concerned about trying to phrase this nicely, about the number of rentals in the Forney area, there is a way to consolidate the multifamily in what's called a mixed-use development, where you have apartments upstairs and retail and restaurants below. And you've seen that in Plano, Frisco, anywhere you go. Lots of young professionals get in these apartments or lofts, and then downstairs is restaurants and retail, and it creates an environment where people are walking and using the restaurants downtown, gets activities going on downtown, and it revitalizes your downtown. So we've been approached by two different developers that are looking at doing those concepts. One of them presented to our EDC board. I don't think anyone's presented to council yet, but nobody's that far along in the process. But these aren't huge. They're not going to be like rock wall where you see the big ones along the harbor, we have very small areas. So the EDC has a parcel of land at Chestnut in Maine that could be used for one of these developments. And there's also areas in downtown where there's either vacant land or people are selling their buildings, and we're looking for opportunities where that can be. They're on a very much smaller scale. So you're talking maybe 18 to 20 units on top, given the size that we would have. So it would be like 18 to 20 units on top with restaurants and retail below. So that's what she's concerned about. And we'll be working with the council. We have our council liaison up on stage, Councilman Robertson, he attends our EDC board meetings. He knows what's going on. He reports to council what we're doing, and we all work together. So as those programs, and anybody that's been involved in economic development knows there's lots of tire kickers. There's lots of people say they're going to do fun things and then they disappear anyway. But if those come to fruition, we'll let you know, and we'll be working with the council as those move forward to make sure they're acceptable to the community.
Lynn,
So
how come we
do we
don't?
get to vote, or does the council just pick?
Well, there are developments, and if the areas are zoned correctly, they can do these developments.
Yeah, could you explain why we don't have a target here?
Sure. This is a whole nother 20-minute conversation. I have 5 minutes. So, long story short, why we don't have somebody like a Target here or Costco here, there are site criteria that each of these companies require. And so a lot of times you hear, why is Costco not here? Well, Costco's not here because they require 200,000 people within 5 miles making over $110,000. Why is Target not here? Because Target requires 145,000 people within that trade area, and we're just not there yet. Our trade area is large. We have like 84,000 people in the trade area, and we're projected to get to 145 by 2026. But again, those all come into algorithms that these companies use to determine how many people are going to use their stores, what percentage of sales they're going to get, and they have to look at consumer spending, and they look at all these factors. So one of the reasons we don't have a target is we just don't have 145,000 people in our trade area. Are we talking to them? Yes. Do they know we're here? Yes. Do they know what site they would look at? Probably. But again, we've got to get our trade numbers up, and they're coming. I mean, and it's all the Devonshire Removal Farms. They're not in the city of Forney, but they're all in our extra tax jurisdiction, as well as Los Lomos is going to help. And anybody between, let's say, North Forney, almost to Heath is in our trade area. So we have a very large retail trade area, which as more developments come, we'll be able to get those types of retail stores. Mm-hmm.
We have time for just a couple more questions, and then I have a quick summary of a couple of things I need to talk about.
It's a good thing more people didn't show up because you didn't give us enough time. We asked all these questions.
Next time.
Right. I live in Fox Hollow. I live adjacent to the Greenbelt. That's on the other side of with Monitor is on it, and Rita's Elementary. Those of us who bought along there because we like the Greenbelt and all the trees and everything. Then they decided, which is needed, additional sewer line to come down through there. Now they came through and just ripped everything out of there. It's a nice flat, dirt-only area. It's basically, with the creek that's back there, it's become a breeding ground for mosquitoes and ragweed. And we're just wondering, is there a plan to maybe replace some of the trees that have been torn out of there? There's a couple of us here tonight that are from the neighborhood. Mainly we came to let you know that we do care that something get done back there, one way or the other, either with the PID money that they're planning on spending, or the city to help out, or something. So that's the main reason I'm here tonight.
Thank you. You're Robert. Okay. We had this discussion this afternoon. This is new to me. I didn't know much about this.
Right. No, I'm Chris Patterson. I'm the one who wrote the letter to the bid board.
Well, thank you. We have some updates for you tonight.
Okay, so, it's something I wasn't really aware of or didn't look into until this afternoon, so, I don't have a full answer for you necessarily. It's something where, we need to look at every document we have, every ordinance we have related to Fox Hollow to see if anything is required. That's the main thing.
not aware of anything right now. They had the right to use that easement to remove those trees. If they were not protected species, or if they were not granted by ordinance or required by ordinance, then they do not necessarily have to put those back.
Just that it's a beautification type thing.
Right.
The kids walk to school along that road, Monitor's not a safe road anyway, I don't know the whole path, you go back in, you've heard that. It's become a speedway on there as well, not to mention the cut through, with all the big trucks that have to come through there, they're cutting through 20 to go to the back road to Amazon. I'm not against businesses or increase the size of the city or outside the city, but when you start tearing stuff out, we should at least look at putting something back in. Now, whether they were protected or not, these trees were tangible to us. First of all, because we saw the area and said, yes, you want to live there. We also spent a little bit more money for the lots because it would kind of last the builder because that's not really that part of it. And we all knew that it was an easement back there, but we never thought it was until it's basically.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, I think it's something that would have to be done with Midlands. It's not something that we have the ability to go and require contractor. Yeah.
May I speak on that? So this is the pit land. I have land on 1641, we came through and did similar thing, the contractor at that time, and they fixed it, replaced everything. And I don't see why the pit, we own the land, as community, why we wouldn't be held to the same standard to do some amount of replacement. And that was said to, and I won't venture to a member of the board from a city official, but now we're hearing something different. So I think that's cause to, like I said, look into.
Yeah,
In our
yeah.
communities, you know, in HOAs, we're held accountable for what our property looks like all the time. Now, this part that's now owned by the kid, which is an extension, I think, maybe I'm wrong, but the city, you think it would come to the basic replacement. So, I'm not saying replace 100 some odd units one out of it, but it's a big part of the problem too is they haven't graded properly, there's water standing now in the trees. It flows, not even in the trees now because of all they've done. So it'd be nice if something got done to help. Something else occur.
Yeah, guys, we really appreciate it. We've got about 5 minutes left. I just want to be respectful and we have some more questions. Sir, my commitment to you, I will have staff follow up with council, and we will all be informed of what the answer to this is. And we'll make sure we get some answers back to you, okay? Thank you so much.
I'll email some information.
I appreciate it, sir. All of our emails are on the city website, so please feel free and we will respond. Yes, yes, ma'am.
Hello again.
Hello.
I just wanted to ask if, that one street would be able to be open between York and that cutoff street behind it, if that one's gonna be opened up to it to alleviate some traffic?
Can we talk after the meeting with our city engineer?
Yes.
Okay.
Also, since, Bowie is gonna be a little busy, can we add a little bit more stop signs?
What we'll do, let's,
Yeah,
that's after the
let's
meeting.
corner afterwards and we'll get some answers.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Guys, we got,
I'll try to make this quick. My name is Roger Bass, with Fox Hollow, I've already heard. Couple of things first, Chief, I want to thank you. We've had a couple of runs with the officers on the good side, the car got rear-ended. Great officers you got here. With that said, what is the city council doing to help this man out of officers?
And man, we are, Mr. Charles Dang, the city manager, we have raised the pay for our officers. Starting pay is now $60,000 for officers. So if you know anyone that wants to be police, tell them to go down there and apply. So we are doing our best to be competitive in the region or in the area that we live in. So we're doing a lot. We got even the fire department. We gave them a lot of funds, a lot of equipment, so we can come up to the, where we were lacking.
Have you opened any new positions for officers? I believe you're actually short for the man that you have open already, is that correct? What's the question? Or I believe you're already short on manning as is, for openings you already have. Yeah, but have you increased those openings any, so they have enough officers to do their job?
Yes, we have a human resource director now, that's working on that every day.
I think most of got the question. Cover everything here real quick. Oh, the left turn coming up off of 1641, they put that no left turn sign there, turning onto,
Yes, I'm sorry you hear me laugh, but I know exactly what you're
yeah,
talking about.
that is
I
the
think we all know where it
biggest
is.
joke in this city. They can pull out at Canes and go straight across, but you can't make a left turn.
Oh, no, it's a nightmare.
Let's bear with us, again, those roads are gonna be, you know, in the future, we're looking to expand those and at the short term, but I'll let the chief answer that.
We're gonna get Charles Daniels, city
All right.
manager, out there.
Do you wanna hear from him, or?
Yeah.
Sir, what is your specific question?
Well, they got the no left turn sign there going in.
The no left turn when you're traveling on 548 heading north to turn left on Broad Street.
Okay.
But you come straight across from Broad, from Kane, out of Kane, all that traffic, but people coming in, they go left turn the other way, so they go down a U-turn, they can have worse.
I'm sure if that would be more of a question directed toward the city. We are very aware of the no left turn sign right there and the violators at that location. We have brought in officers for overtime to sit at that specific location.
The no turn sign itself makes no sense.
Well, it does, because when someone is trying to attempt to make that left-hand turn right there at the railroad tracks, it takes them a long time. So traffic backs up all the way at the intersection of 548, 1641 goes through.
That's impacts the railroad though, is on. And then 548 queuing back towards the railroad is a big concern, they queuing in the Cane's restaurant is what.
People coming out of Kane are backed up across the tracks.
Well, your questions about no left turn, that was specifically put in because of the potential to queue back to the railroad, which is just a dangerous condition, sir.
So it's the same thing coming out of Kane, you come straight across, block that northbound lane. Do the call the exact same left.
Yes. Right.
I don't have an answer.
There are a lot of these questions that we can answer throughout the whole year. You don't have to wait for us to put together a meeting. Charles Daniels is readily available. All the council members, you have all of our email addresses. If we don't have the answer, we will find the answer and we will get back with you. We do respond, so please take note of the issues you're having on a daily basis, because I can tell you, you're having the issue, your neighbors are having that issue, and we need to be aware because we're representing you guys. There's two other questions that were on the emails that we did not address, and Chief Udi, you're going to be on deck for a second. Just real quick, one question was asked on why we don't have a hospital. And I had actually had to go back and talk with our EDC director. I'm like, you know, this is a good question, and it does have to be related to the workforce. A lot of towns that do have a hospital or a high-end medical facility are usually near a university or education facility. With the opening of the OC, this new Opportunity Central, there are new programs coming in, and they're growing as we speak, because they're coming in with new ideas. We're going to have a larger workforce here in town, so that possibility could still be there. It's just we're not there yet. Chief Udi, I want to ask you to answer one question, and we talked about it briefly. There is something called Flock, and these are the cameras that residents are really happy that are going in the neighborhoods. And I just would like them to give a brief update on what that is, where they're in, where they're going, and then I think we're going to go ahead and wrap up unless any council member would like to say anything. We're all going to be available to speak afterwards if you want to come and tag us, and you don't go away. We'll talk soon.
These cameras are placed inside the neighborhood, and they're license plate readers. So they're actually capturing the back license plate of vehicles as they travel in and out of the neighborhood. Now those license plates are red, and they're going through the database. Okay, and they go through a database and let us know if the vehicle is stolen, if it's a vehicle of interest. The police department can put those license plates into the system to let us know and alert us when that vehicle is traveling through that location, if it is a suspect of a crime. We're looking to get those same cameras inside of our city, and we're moving forward with that program. We're going to put these cameras at our major intersections and thoroughfares to monitor these locations and get that information back to us. We're working in conjunction with TxDOT. These locations are in the easements of TxDOT's property, so we have to go through it and get their approval for us to approve. So we're looking at possibly the first of next year to have those inside of our city limits. Yes,
One
ma'am.
really quick question. How long have these cameras been at Fox Hollow?
I'm not sure the exact time, but they're in there right now. If you'll notice, they're a black camera. They have a sign that says.
The only reason why I asked was whenever my car was rear-ended, we got on footage, because the camera didn't extend that far, where my car moved up 2 feet from one shot to another shot, and we got a piece of the bumper. But they said that there's really no investigation that they can do. If these cameras are truly there, why couldn't that be researched? I'm just wondering.
Well, the cameras are.
I'm on the main road.
At the stop sign for Fox Hollow.
Sure. Ma'am, if I can address your question after the meeting.
Guys, thank you so much for showing up this evening. It really means a lot. The one thing I'll tell you, your city government does listen. We have council meetings very frequently, and as we see probably at a max 3 to 4 attendees in council meetings. Believe it or not, when you come and speak and use your voice, we do listen. When you send emails, we do read them. We try to respond, and we really try to be articulate about our positions and our thoughts on specific items. The beauty of having a council of 7 is that we have 7 independent voices. We're not always going to be all for the same thing. We're all going to think independently and critically, and that is what is important in this form of government, is that we actually all do have our own unique backgrounds and opinions and thoughts on specific items. That's how government should work, and that's how this council works as well, which is phenomenal. You all showing up this evening means a lot to me specifically, because it does kind of reinvigorate my passion for our city. When people show up and voice their opinions, we know you're listening. Do we read social media? Not so much, guys. I turned off all my social media a couple years back to go from there, just to be honest with you. So, best way to get in touch with me is by phone, text, or email. I will respond if you have any questions, good or bad. Let me know. If I ever vote in a way that you don't like and you want to know why, email or ask. I'm always here for you. Thank you.
Again, I'll piggyback on what James said. I work with you guys, so if, I live in the city, limits of Forney also, so what affects you affects me. So I do put you guys at first before I put anything else first. So I appreciate y'all coming out. I love my community. I love you as a neighbor. And let's get to work together and solve some issues and let this be a great place for us to lay our heads at night. Thank you.
Again, appreciate you, everybody coming out, and be safe going home tonight.
I echo what everybody has said. If you look at the org chart, the original org chart for the city, you guys are at the top. Even though we're on stage, the citizens are at the very top of the org chart. And so we never forget that. And thank you for being here.
Thank y'all for coming out. I've been in Forney for a long time and definitely have seen the growth. Just know that the same traffic pains that y'all feel, we feel them too. And we're happy to hear, I'm definitely happy to hear about some of the road projects that will be coming up. I know it's still a couple of years off, but, definitely, excited to hear that. I'm also excited to hear about, our bond package and some of those things that might be coming on board with that. So hopefully when, that starts rolling out, hopefully they'll have town hall meetings. I know that they've had that in the past, where you could come in and kind of listen to some of the ideas and those types of things to see, what is actually being put in that package. Another thing that I wanted to touch on is our youth. Marion, she does a great job with our youth with Sharing the Love Foundation. So if you know of any youth that need mentors, that is a phenomenal program. They do a lot of things. I know that she was looking for a place here in Forney to have the kids here in Forney. Unfortunately, she had to go to Terrell, and maybe they may be still looking. Maybe some of you know somewhere that they can congregate and meet, but that is a phenomenal program. As far as Mr. Price, you talked about some of the crime and some of the things that are unpleasant in some of the neighborhoods. And I know you being a part of Dallas and a part of the school board there, you know definitely with growth comes crime. And I think it behooves all of us to keep those eyes out. I mean, like I say, I've been here a long time. It used to be back in the day when you couldn't do anything down the street without your grandmother's friend seeing you or anybody seeing you. That word would get back to that house before you made it back. So we need to bring some of those ways back to our communities where we can look out for one another, look out for the kids, and if we see something suspicious, don't do anything malicious out of spite or anything like that, but a real problem that you may see, you might just want to tap some of your neighbors and ask them to keep an eye out. Definitely, I see Forney as one whole, because that's just the way I grew up. I mean, Forney was just Forney. Unfortunately, this town was an old farming town, and these roads that we have, Rockwall has experienced the same problems. And I was just in Rockwall the other day, and I was like, okay, I'm going down 548 and I'm driving, but you don't see the expansion, you don't see the new roads until you see the new development that came in. And they kind of brought that in and partnered with the city. So, I mean, it's a lot that goes into getting roads and businesses here, and we're trying. So I'm happy that y'all came out, and I hope that you will be more patient with us. I hope that this platform has given you the information that you need to be patient with us, and just keep coming and keep asking for the information, and keep pestering the police department, city manager Charles Daniels, all of us. I mean, I think we're very open to hear it. Ms. Dawn asked about the school district and the relationship there. I do believe that the school district and the city work well together at one point. I do think, and I do understand from Ms. Lewis that they are working on that. But I do think it became strained when the library issue came up. And I think that became very strained then, and it was just very hard for both of us. And so it's just a lot that goes on behind the scenes that people may not know about, but we're working through it. We don't always agree on anything. We butt heads. We do all of that. All of this ain't pretty up here. Y'all see us being all nice, prim, and proper, but it ain't always pretty. Let's just be real. But we do try to work for the citizens. We do try to do what's best for the city of Forney. And my vision for the city of Forney, I have always said I wanted the city of Forney to be a city, a community where whatever phase of life that you're in, that Forney will have something for you. If you're retired and you want to downsize, you want a smaller home, we got it. If you want a better school district for your kids, I believe we have it. Some things I think that I would like to see more of is entertainment. I think we need more entertainment in the city of Forney. When you're talking about $400,000 to $500,000, $600,000 homes, what do we have for our citizens for those $400,000, $500,000 homes? You still have to drive far to spend your dollars just for that. So I'm looking for, in the future, I may be on this council, I may not be, but I would hope that that anybody, any city official will understand that we not only need things for the children to do, but we also need more entertainment for our young adults and our young professionals are here. Because when we did the survey for the bond package, looking at that age range, the ones that mostly answered the question were between the ages of 33 to 44. So they were very young professionals. I would like to keep city dollars, y'all dollars here, y'all money. We want to keep it in this city because unfortunately, money is what makes things happen. It brings things in. We're able to get those things in. So thank y'all for coming out and just don't stop with your hunger and your passion for your community. Thank y'all so much.
Thank y'all so much for being here this evening. I think that one thing I figured out quickly being on city council is that being on the city council is a lot more than attending meetings twice a month to vote on things. That for all these things that we're talking about to happen, there has to be a lot of meetings and a lot of work put in between those meetings. There has to be meetings with the school district, with the county commissioners, with our transportation committee, with the city manager. And I've been regularly involved in all those things, and what I've seen is the more that we work with all those different entities, the faster I've seen things happen since I was elected in May. I'd like to echo what James said at the beginning, that if you have questions, concerns, please reach out and email any of us. Please contact us. We do email you back. We do listen. I've lived here for 14 years. I too have 4 children in the school system here. So I am very aware and very concerned about all the same concerns that you have because I live here too. My goal is to work with these other members of council to make Forney the best place that it can be. We don't need to mimic any other town. We just need to be Forney, and we need to do what's best for Forney. I'm really excited about some of the things that are going to be coming up on the bond package. I echo what other council members have said, that I'm very much wanting to see an increase in city services. We need a park on our north side, we need a library, we need a recreation center. Those are all things that our city needs. Those aren't wants at this point. Those are things that we need. Our population has gotten to a point that we need to be offering our citizens more to encourage you to stay here. We want you to live in Forney. We want you to stay here. We want you here for all the different stages, as Ms. Powers said. So please know that we are all working very hard to make those things happen.
One last thing for those, please, let's have a couple of conversations before you walk away. I just want to let you know that after every council meeting on Wednesday, I usually post a wrap-up. It's on the City of Forney's website as well as mine. You don't want to have time to sit through a 2-hour meeting, that's fine. You can just go look at the highlights. Also, once a month, we do a video recap of the highlights of what's going on and what's going to happen. So just stay tuned. That's the stuff that we're getting out. As well as those, we're going to put them in utility billing as well to kind of keep the residents informed as much as possible of just the basic things that are happening twice a month. And you all need to know the highlights. So thank you all for coming tonight, and I'll see you guys again in the springtime. Thanks.